I received an email last week with updates from the developer in charge of the remediation of our building. And I thought I would share some of the information that they're relaying because maybe I'm being ungrateful. I mean, there are some really incredible examples of how we're being looked after in this situation that, you know, maybe I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say, and just be super grateful for the fact that they are refusing to give me access to my belongings. There are hundreds of boxes. Yes, I should be grateful that I didn't get my things sent off to some random location that I would have no idea where it was or how I could access belongings such as clothes. Me asking for my belongings to come to a location where I could have access to things, books, materials, some furniture, definitely clothes and shoes. I have no access to my shoes, so those are definitely in the back storage because the developer, they think that I'm being extravagant or trying to pull one up on them because I'm being a little bit more challenging or vocal or outspoken than others. So I wanted to show you so you could decide for yourself whether I'm just being ungrateful and am totally distorted from the reality of this exact developer who has given feedback to research that's being done by MHCLG on their decant strategy. And they've pretty much said they've got everything under control. I mean, they're doing well. So let's just have a look at the example of the resident engagement because we all know that resident engagement is super important and you can help me decide. As you'll see at the development, issues were discovered with the fire protection of the steel frame. Since residents moved out last summer, we have been carrying out extensive investigations on site, as well as beginning to strip out areas surrounding the frame. So, just to clarify, on my building and other buildings, I actually know that they hadn't started stripping out works, especially not a few months ago when I had gone to visit, because they already knew that the building right next door that was evacuated 2 years ago was built by the exact same party or designed by the exact same party that was responsible for at least 3 other blocks in the development, of whom all have the same issues. Okay, so they already knew that the issues existed. They didn't need to open up the walls. But anyway, disappointingly, during the strip out works, we have discovered further defects with the fire stopping and compartmentation between individual apartments and between apartments and the communal areas. Disappointingly, I mean, yeah, I'm sure they're so disappointed given the fact that they already knew about this at least before our evacuation, but that's fine. The most effective way for us to carry out this additional work is to strip the entire apartment back to the steel frame. In case you didn't know, there was no fireproofing of the steel frame of our building. Apparently, this is like basic 101. So anybody who was building a building for millions of pounds to sell for millions would have known that fireproofing the steel is pretty much a basic requirement. So the most effective way for us to carry out this additional work is to strip the entire apartment back to the steel frame. They knew that. This means all internal fixtures and fittings will be removed, including kitchens, bathrooms, and internal walls and ceilings. As a result, the remediation is going to take longer than we had previously stated. Once residents move back home, however, you will have a brand new apartment, including, but not limited to, new kitchen and bathroom, new flooring, internal doors, and paintwork. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm on some game show and that I've just won the jackpot, right? So hold on a second. We only have to have our lives totally disrupted, move out for 3.5 years, And then we get all brand new bathrooms and kitchens and floors and doors. Oh my God, what a deal, right? This month, as a quick reminder, in case you didn't know, and in case you haven't been following, given the further defects we have found inside the building, we will now be stripping the entire building back to the steel frame. Once the issues are remediated and you are able to move back home, you will have a brand new apartment, including new kitchen and bathroom, new flooring, internal doors, and paintwork. For residents of my block, we had previously advised of an expected reoccupation period beginning at the end of 2027, as we were planning a phased reoccupation. Our new estimate for the start of reoccupation is 2028 August. Now, who uses the word reoccupation? I don't know. Is that just me or is that totally tone deaf? Next update, we expect to share our next regular newsletter with you at the end of September 2026. Now, resident engagement is a huge part of these entire remediation programs. And you are telling me that this is the basic, the bare minimum that they can deliver, and that we are supposed to be satisfied with that. How? I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize again for the delays experienced to date. Please be assured that we are committed to completing the necessary remedial works as soon as is practically possible and at no cost to leaseholders. At no cost. So I've actually had some pretty big emotional, physical, mental costs. I've also had financial costs. This has definitely cost me financially because I didn't want to give all of whoever's money to an average, super average temporary accommodation provider that was going to be charging several thousand a month. I had to negotiate so hard for, barely covers. I'm still paying for the apartment in Southampton, by the way. I, though, now have a teensy tiny bit to help cover all new expenses that I have to incur whilst living out of the property. How is this okay? But apparently, according to the developer, when I did a subject access request, I am probably profiteering. I am obviously difficult and challenging things and enabling leaseholders and giving them information. How dare I give them information to what they deserve and what they're entitled to? It's, yeah. And the kind regards, absolute load of bleep. They do not care. There's nothing kind about any of the ways that they have behaved. And yeah, I mean, resident engagement strategy, A plus, clearly, because how else do they get these approved?